I didn't come on here for any particular reason other than just to share that I had a great day today and had some amazing downloads, and just wanted to share my gratitude. Had a friend tell me earlier today, he said, "You are already a writer. You've already written every book. Your currency is love. You already know the truth. And as so long as we stay there and embrace that, there's nothing to be fearful of." So often when I have my revelations, I think to myself, how do I say this without offending somebody, not recognizing in that moment that there's some pride there. So I just wanted to come on here and, I don't know, answer any questions y'all might have, and just share this positive feeling that I have today. So if anybody has any questions about the videos I've been posting or what my journey is, this spiritual journey that I'm on, and embracing love as my currency and what that looks like, and how I'm being completely free from this indoctrination that has governance over us or has had rule over us for so long, and I'm completely free and I feel good. And for those of you that are trying to figure out how the heck can I be as free as that dude, I thought maybe I would come live for a little while and answer any questions that you might have. So we'll see if we get anybody in here. See people joining and scrolling. Everybody's scrolling. Who's that goofy man? That's all good. Who is Yodhe Badhe, right? Amazing. Welcome in. Go Pen, it says. What a... Somebody asked me a question. Or don't. It's up to you. But I just wanted to come outside, the sun's setting, and I don't know, I got about 30 minutes or so of sunlight left, and it's been a beautiful day here. I don't know if you guys had beautiful weather where you're at, but the last couple days have just been awesome. And I've been going outside and, you know, still doing my healing and working on being all the time, being my higher self. Frankly, the voice. For those of you that don't know me well, I was born into this world and given the name Douglas. And when I started to really listen to Alan Watts and Ram Dass and read scripture and started to have all these revelations and trying to interpret my dreams and figure out what's real and what's not real, I started to figure out who I really am. And so I've kind of created, frankly, the voice to become the higher self all the time. And Doug is the ego. And I want to make sure that everybody understands something, that the ego is necessary, right? The ego kind of delivers us into our opportunities for spiritual growth. The ego will always keep us alive, right? It's our impulse. So you can go throughout your entire life on autopilot, living by way of the ego. But when you really start to deconstruct the ego and become the higher self, that's when that awareness changes into this higher state of being, where unconditional love is. And I have two profound messages that I received today. Another friend of mine posted a video reminding everybody that we are unconditional love. And what is unconditional love? It is the light and the darkness. Our celestial beings, you know, we're God experiencing the physical world. We're all fractals of that source energy. And we're here to feel. And it's okay to feel. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to have feelings, man. And it's okay sometimes that they're going to be, you know, that, what do you want to say? Like, emotion is energy in motion, right? And sometimes we have to go through darkness to reveal light. Well, that's how we reveal light. And so that lower vibrational energy, that darkness, those feelings that we have, you got to kind of sit with them. That was profound wisdom that I received in the last week. It's like, it's okay to feel a certain way. Live there, deal with it. Experience it, feel it. Why is this here? Because we're the creators of our reality. Everything is taking place in our own minds. We're the superstars in our movies and all the other avatars. We give power to them, and what their role in our movie is up to us. So for those that have hurt us or those that continue to hurt us, that's our choice, right? And so there's certain things, and this is the hard part that took me forever to realize, like this healing journey and this unconditional love, and recognizing like I'm the one who has been hurting myself. Like, what does it mean to actually love yourself, right? Everything is rhythm, frequency, and vibration. That's exactly right, Mandy. Well said. We'll keep coming until we get it right. That's exactly right. You know, I made a video last week talking about this is my final incarnation. I have finally met God. And now that I have a relationship with God within, I realize that I have the rest of this life here now to speak this truth into this realm, this reality, and help as many people as I possibly can see the power that each of us have, that we are all one, and that love is the only currency we need. We're free from man-made law. There's only two laws that matter at all, and that is to truly learn how to love yourself, which is God, right? Love God wholeheartedly so that you're capable of loving your neighbor. And if you do that, there is no crime, there is no law, there is nothing that you can possibly do that will be detrimental to your higher state of being. So I'm free from man-made laws. I'm completely free from my straw man. I'm free from all the capital letters. I'm free from a social security number or a birth certificate. And I am just like, I don't have any money per se, but I don't need money, dude. Like, I'm like completely free, and it's freaking awesome. Well, what happens to the people, I wonder, who don't get it? That's a good question. And I actually had a conversation with another beautiful friend when we were doing a series talking about, if you guys remember, in October, there was an annular Ring of Fire eclipse, and then there was a lunar eclipse 14 days later. And we did a full series trying to teach everybody what the 9 clairs were and how to embrace your psychic superpowers and really develop your clairs. And that we had that conversation as whether or not certain souls are just more advanced, more evolved than others, and there's certain people in this lifetime that aren't going to wake up, and that's okay. We have to stop trying to wake people up. We've said enough, we shared enough. Now it's time to demonstrate love in action, like to be completely free. What does that actually look like? And so long as you can actually go about your day every day being that higher authentic self and not letting these external sources have any sort of governance over you, hopefully the others that are still capable of waking up will see is like, you know what, that dude's got it right, man. Like, that dude is doing what he's supposed to be doing, and that's charming, that's appealing, that's attractive, and we are all just magnets for attracting like mind. If there's something that I really like about the TikTok algorithm is that you will continue to post, continue to share your truth, use your hashtags and everything, and eventually you'll find your community of like-minded people that are thinking and feeling and experiencing life just like you are, and it's a freaking beautiful thing. One Lost, how's it going, brother? I haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you're doing well. We need to work on ourselves and be the highest vibration. That's exactly right, Mandy. And that's exactly the journey that I'm on, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. Like, I have nothing, I just wanted to come outside, and I had such a glorious day today. I just wanted to come on here and just hopefully somehow just radiate some light and love into the world, and hopefully share my joy with you guys, and hopefully it's contagious. Like, there's so many amazing revelations. Get outside, guys. Get outside. Talk to the birds. Talk to a tree. Let the sun hit your face. I know that we've always been told don't look directly at the sun, but do the best you can. Maybe shade the light a little bit, especially at sunrise and sunset. Get involved with the sun. Talk to the sun. It's an amazing experience just being outside and enjoying life. Like, I was making a choice when I was still in the state of victim mentality. Like, I couldn't get out of bed because I didn't want to deal with the real world, right? I didn't want to deal with the things or the people in my life because it returned me to the darkness, and I was just done being in a dark state of mind. Like, now I'm starting to realize it's like, just get up, go do something, put love into action, demonstrate your love in action. And that's what my self-healing journey looks like. So it's been awesome. Yes, the sun is good. Wish I knew more around here. Wish I knew more around here. I missed that. I'm sorry. Like us, but one day you will. You know what, Mandy? Keep posting on TikTok. Keep posting hashtags. I want to actually. You make a good point, because when I first started posting and my views would stop at like 250, I used to get so angry, and I would get into that state of victim mentality again, where I was blaming external sources, like something's keeping me from getting my word out. Why, the algorithm doesn't like me. I'm shadow banned and this and that or whatever. Just keep posting, dudes. Just keep speaking your truth. Trust me. Have faith that it's going to serve you, and it will. Believe that. As soon as you start actually saying, like, my like-minded, like, I can't tell you enough. I've only really been on TikTok for 2 years. I've only really been posting probably since like June or July, where I try to make at least one post a day. And it's whatever, like by way of revelation, whatever comes to me, I share, and I just speak my truth. And then I got to tell you, in the last 6 months specifically, there's been a lot of people come into my life that are lifting me up in spirit and truth and giving me faith in my journey and letting me know that I am on the right path, the path of righteousness, right? Whereas before I was choosing that path of wickedness, where I was suffering and I was continue to victim blame others and circumstances for the way things were in my life, instead of actually healing those things and recognizing that I'm the one that is giving those things power. My friend Harley said something so profound to me today. He said, "You already are the writer. You've written all the novels that you want to write." As soon as you believe that, as soon as you accept the fact that you are a writer, that you are that person of unconditional love, everything that you're trying to teach on TikTok, you already are. So stop holding back, because as soon as you start to worry about what other people think about you and everything, that's that victim blaming and that victim state of mind that keeps you vibrating at a lower state of energy, which is the hell state, right? It's the place where we still recognize, like, we think that everything's supposed to serve us in this material world. And so for me personally, it was like, can I write a book and make money from it? And will that be enough money to keep me alive, right? To survive, to get the 3 basic needs, the food, the shelter, and the energy that I need to stay alive. And now I realize, like, why am I giving that so much power? That's my handicap, because I'm so worried about whether or not I can be that good of a writer. It's preventing me from just writing, right? And so I just need to sit down, write the book, because it's already written, dude. Like, it's already done. And as soon as I was like, you know what? Frankly, the voice has already been here. I'm finally connected to my higher state, the Christed state. And I'm realizing now, it's like, what am I waiting for? What have I been holding back? Why am I so worried about what others think of me? That's dumb. I just did a video earlier today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I just was like, screw it. I'm going to go and I'm going to sing in the shower. And I'm not a great singer. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to be mean to myself or anything. I'm literally like, I'm not Chris Martin from Coldplay, okay? But I just went and sang Fix You just because, like, just go live your life, go play, have fun. Life isn't hard, dudes. Life is not meant to be complicated. We complicate it, right? So just go enjoy life. Like, does not matter what other people think about you. Live your life for the moment. Win the now. Choose the path of righteousness. Believe that you are the higher self all the time. We have to watch the way we talk about ourselves. We have to watch the way that we talk about one another, because that's the reality that we're creating, right? So if you feel like you have an enemy in the world outside of yourself, you're wrong, dude. You're giving that person that power over your well-being, and that's not fair to you, the real you, the higher self that I'm talking about. Because once you come into your awareness, once you are spiritually awake, you have to start believing that that's who you are all the time. Start saying the right words. I am. And anything that you say after that, so shall it be. That is the power that you have. And there's mantras in the chakras. If you guys are familiar with my work, I talk about the 7 chakras and how our unhealed traumas eventually become the sinful behaviors that prevent us from having an open flow in our chakra system, which I believe to be the Holy Spirit. And when you are working on healing those traumas, then you recognize where that sinful pattern of behavior started corrupting that flow. And that flow, what I'm talking about is there's a balance in each of us. There's divine feminine energy and there's divine masculine energy, which I refer to as the bride and the groom. And that matrimony, that harmony creates the flow, which is the bridegroom, which is the Holy Spirit, which is the beacon of light. So you're ready to light your lampstands. Another profound thing that my friend Harley told me was, and I'd already kind of been talking about these things, but he put it into perspective for me and helped me have that revelation. I can't tell you guys enough the power in friendships and fellowship, because you're going to learn a lot about yourself and positive, productive conversations with another that'll help you finish the thought that you're having already. So Harley shared a story about how when you don't plug a lamp in, it's still a lamp. It's still capable of producing light. And when you plug it in, then it has light, right? And then you can change the wattage on the bulb until it grows brighter and brighter and brighter. And that's all up to us. Are you plugging in your chakra systems? Are you plugging in your lamp so that it can actually reveal light? That's what I mean when I say we must overcome our sins that keep the lampstand unplugged. But when you plug it in and start actually doing the spiritual work to overcome the deadly sin that's preventing you from being your true authentic self, that's the journey. That's how you increase the wattage and you become the beacon of light that you are. It's a brilliant thing. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming in. See if I can catch up with some questions here. Do you have any predictions about the future? I have lots of predictions about my future. That's a good question. I don't know if I want to get into that here. I will tell you this, that one of the clairs that I am developing is claircognizance. I've always kind of had revelations come to me and I didn't know why. I only recently discovered about 3-4 years ago the word gnosis, which is the Greek word for knowing, which if you're familiar with the Apocrypha and the books that were removed from the canonical Bible, Gnosticism is actually the first people of Christianity. So my interpretation of Acts, the first books of Acts, is when the apostles went out to teach the good news. All those people that came into the wisdom of what Christ actually was and the teachings of Christ, and they became followers of Christ, those were the Gnostics. And they were persecuted because we were quickly returned by way of Paul and actually maybe even Peter. But I don't want to get into this too much great detail, but we were returned back to idolatry, where suddenly people were worshiping Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ didn't come here to instill another religion. Jesus Christ came here to teach us how to embrace the God within, how to live righteously, how to free ourselves from sin, the sinful world, the construct, the matrix, the simulation, if you will. And so going back to answer your question, do I have visions of the future? I absolutely do, but I'm just not prepared yet to really share them because I'm still kind of meditating and trying to give those shape. But I will tell you this, that time is an illusion, right? So when I talk about things like shadow work and such, I'm actually talking about healing yourself now, because all you can do is now. You can't change the past, right? But we have lessons in our life. And as soon as we recognize that everything's happening to us now, the only reason why we still suffer from the past is because we're doing that to ourselves inside of our mind, that victim mentality, when we blame others or circumstances for the way we are now. But so long as we recognize that we are responsible for our lives now, we heal those traumas that happened to us in the past. Doing so makes a better, brighter future. And so the only prediction that I'll give you to the future right now is just this, that so long as there's many of us now, that if we continue to speak our truth into the existence, if we continue to live completely free from the law of man and really recognize that God is within and that our only agenda is to love one another because we are one, we're all experiencing this life as God. God came down here to experience this life. And even though we all have different life experiences, we are all after the same thing, absolution of truth and unconditional love. And so long as we don't judge anybody for the way that they are or what they've done to us, so to speak, we heal our past, then all I can tell you is the future is friggin' bright. So there are things that are happening in the world today that are meant to keep us in a lower vibrational energy state, worried and panicked about war and if the country's gonna fail or whatever this. Like, I'll tell you this personally, I will never vote again. I will never pay taxes again. and I'm completely free. I'm not worried about even saying that on TikTok. If somebody's watching me, they're going to come arrest me because I'm not paying taxes. No, I am done with all that. No fear for me. And I know because of that, my future's great. I'm excited for my future. How's everybody doing tonight? It's getting chilly out here with the sun going down, but I love it. Get outside. That's exactly right, Mandy. Voting gives your energy away, and you know, I don't want to go into great detail about that, but I'm telling my family and friends is that, and it's not that I'm saying anything like derogatory to them individually, like, hey, your vote doesn't matter. It's not what I'm saying at all. Is that the next president of the United States, for example, that's already been chosen. So our votes aren't being counted. They've already made a decision because the puppeteers that actually govern over the entire world, like the whole idea that there's a separation between church and state is an absolute joke. There is no separation between church and state. The New World Order is the Roman Catholic Church. So the Vatican and these occult societies, they have been ruling over our world all along. I mean, that's the whole idea of colonialism, frontierism, Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades and everything. And that's why it's, for me personally, like the journey that I'm on is recognizing that I'm free from idolatry. I will never worship a man or like anything outside of myself again. I realize that I'm a huge advocate and follower for Christ, but I'm all about unity, Christ consciousness, because I recognize that what's in me is in you. And so long as I understand, like, you're living your life and your experience are meaningful. And I would never, who am I to say that you're doing something wrong or right? That's your journey. And if anything, if you are struggling and if you stuck out your hand, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to lift you up. I can only demonstrate what I'm doing, but I don't want to be a teacher. I'm teaching myself. And if that is a good role model behavior, that's the goal for me personally. So we are the Christ and the God. We are one, the all per se. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I'm beginning to really understand what ether is. I made some videos about Yod Hey Vod Hey. Making that correlation. I made a video a while back kind of incorporating like the zodiac chart and the constellations through scripture into the 4 elements, which if you guys aren't already aware, like the 4 elements are also incorporated into our chakra system. So like I said, all of this is working together, and once you start to see it, you can't unsee it, and it's an amazing adventure. But the 4 elements, and then a lot of people don't recognize or talk about the 5th element, which is the ether. The ether is the all, the everything. And so when you come to understand that God is everything, everywhere, all the time, then you start to embrace the understanding of what the ether is. And the ether encompasses all the 4 elements. Like the crown chakra encompasses all the other chakras in the body. You can't have an open crown chakra without first having an open chakra system, that flow of energy. And the key, the gateway, is in the 3rd eye chakra. That's why so many people are really coming into their own and discovering the pineal gland and the land of milk and honey, and what it means to have an open 3rd eye chakra is that's where you talk to God, right? So the whole channel that I created, Let's All Become Heroes, is about me overcoming the ego, right? The ego self is the Doug that was born. That's my birth name with the social security number and the birth certificate, which is just evidence of me being a corporate entity, if you will. And I'm free from all that. And so what I really started to recognize that the ego wasn't my higher authentic self, and I started to deconstruct and overcome my impulse by way of temptation to my fleshly desires, I found the other voice, frankly, the voice. And that's the God voice. And all of us have the God voice. I saw another amazing video earlier, I think it was either today or the day before, where people were, hi Melissa, thanks for being here, where they were talking about like animals, for example. Do you think animals don't think, right? Do you think animals don't have consciousness? What language does an animal think in, right? So when they're hunting or whatever they're doing or anything, like, how do they know when to go pounce on their prey or whatever? It's like there's thoughts, and they're not thinking in English or Spanish or Greek or anything like that. But an animal instinct is a little bit different from us because we have a higher elevated state of consciousness, and where that comes from, that's a conversation for another time. but it's those thoughts that we have, right? So everything taking place in our third eye chakra, those are our conversations with God. In scripture, it tells us to pray in secret. That's because it's happening in your mind. Those are the thoughts that you're dealing with. And the mark of the beast has been here for so long, guys. The mark on your forehead is your thoughts, and the mark on your right hand is your actions. If you have a wicked thought, and that's the action that you take, that's why you're going to hell, because it's a lower vibrational energy state that keeps you in that state of victim mentality. But if you have a righteous thought and you buy it, which is the next verse, right? Buy or sell these thoughts. If you buy that righteous thought and then you demonstrate that action, that's living righteously. That's the ascension journey into the kingdom of heaven. We are powerful creators. And as soon as we recognize that impulse, that thought, that's not you. That's not the real you. You're on autopilot. When you're not awake, you're on autopilot. Your ego will keep you alive. It will. And it's designed to. So the ego isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you want to really go on an ascension journey, you really want to deal with some spiritual awakening, then you need to recognize that second voice, that other voice, when you don't respond to impulse. This is more like intuition. This is more like it's your destiny, it's your fate, it's your highest potential, your highest timeline. And that voice is the one that's trying to give you guidance and tell you how to become the higher self all the time. And that's the voice, frankly, the voice. And that's the voice that I'm listening to. So anybody else go through something like that? Like where you kind of, I would encourage everybody to do it. And in fact, Harley, I'll keep referring to Harley because we've been having so many great conversations. But he kind of, when I first shared that story with him, he'd already heard the story of the scripture, because Jesus is not Christ. Jesus Christ, okay, so Jesus is the flesh and Christ is the spirit. So Jesus is the ego and Christ is that higher self. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so Doug and frankly the voice. So that's the idea of Christ consciousness, is to be my highest self all the time. All the time. Harley, woo! Feel free to come up, Harley, if you'd like to. I know you're cooking supper, buddy. But I just can't stress this enough, guys. Somebody asked earlier, I think it was Missy or Mandy, it might have been you. Just keep posting videos, guys. Hopefully everybody, like I have noticed this, like a lot of my followers have no videos, and I'm wondering to myself, like, why aren't you guys posting? Post, speak your truth. I see so many people that are liking my videos, favoriting my videos, reposting my videos and everything, and then I go to their profile excited to see, is like, yes, another like-minded brother and sister. This is freaking awesome. It feels wonderful. And then they don't have any videos, and I'm like, post. Let's change the world, y'all. I mean, and again, that's an illusion thing, but when I say stuff like that, I want you guys to know that the world that I'm creating already exists. It's not me doing it. It's not you doing it. It's not Harley doing it or Ashley doing it. It's that togetherness, that recognition that we are one and we have free will. And by using discernment between righteousness and wickedness, by truly embracing the chakra system that is the Holy Spirit, we don't have to comply with the beast system any longer. I am completely free. I'm about to, just so you guys know, there was a little bit of worry and doubt in me for a little while, because part of this revelation journey for me, when I quit paying taxes, when I completely exit out of the corporate world, I quit my 9-to-5, I stopped going to work, and I really wanted to become an author, become a writer, and help people. Like, that's my greatest passion, is to find people like me that were in that state of struggle and help them get out of there by way of just demonstrating what I've done. Again, I'm not saying that I can tell somebody how to heal themselves. That's something that each of us have to do on our own. But my journey is to be that beacon of light and say, hey, here's my torch, and then light your torch, and then keep going. Like, you can come with me. Like, let's go to the new world. Come on. It's a beautiful place. It's utopia. We don't have to chase money anymore, because we're going to pay each other in acts of love and service. So you're a great gardener? Awesome. Because I like to eat garden food, and I'm a great forager. So I'm going to go forage. And you know how to make medicine? This is wonderful, because I'm going to bring stuff back and you're going to turn it into medicine. We don't have to freaking, we don't need money. Okay. But I do want to stress something else too, guys. Like, and this is the thing. I see a lot of people that are posting or in this community now that are saying, well, I have to keep one foot in the matrix because I don't own this house, so I have to pay rent. I have to pay the energy bill and these things and that or whatever. And I get that to a certain extent. But I will tell you this, when you stop worrying about those things, it will take care of itself, because here's the thing, you have to be prepared to actually do the work now, right? So if you're not going to pay for light, then you got to create light, right? And if you're not going to pay for food, then you got to grow food. And if you're not going, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to go to the grocery store and buy fish anymore, then you got to go fishing. But it's okay. It's totally okay. Like, no fear. We got this. All right, let's get back into the comments. Went on a rant there. Is it something you just dive into or do it one step at a time? Well, I mean, everything as far as stepping forward is one step at a time, right? So I will tell you this to answer that question. And I started doing this before I even really recognized what like the root chakra is. But the root chakra is where your spiritual work actually begins. And the root chakra is actually connected to the earth element. That's why I can't stress enough, like, my revelation came to me and the first thing that I was told to do was walk into the wilderness. And I took that literally. I got up out of bed and I started going for a walk. I started walking upwards of 20 miles a day. And I had set a goal too. I was going to lose 100 pounds and all that stuff. But the walk into the wilderness helped me open my root chakra, because I was becoming connected to Gaia. I was becoming connected to Mother Earth again. I was getting the sunshine that all of us need. That's your medicine, the sun. Your body will create vitamin D, and not to mention all the other benefits of just getting some sunlight. And then putting your bare feet on the earth, the electrons, the electrodes, the connection, the energy that you get. Like, if you're ever feeling sick, just go outside, take your shoes off, let your bare feet touch the earth and soak up the sun. I promise you'll start feeling better immediately. And then by the next day, you won't even remember that you were sick. So the root chakra is about your connection to the earth element, which is the Mother Gaia, which is, that's where your spiritual work begins. To remember who you truly are, you have to first remember the significance of being on earth. And that's an important thing. So step one, in my opinion, is just go outside. Go outside and just live your life. Like, just get as much, talk to birds, dude. I chirp at birds. Like, hummingbirds are freaking awesome. I'm in Arizona. They come out here near the garden all the time. I built a garden a couple years ago when I was really getting into my spiritual awakening. Okay, I've never done this before, so I better figure out how to grow food, right? So I built a garden, and hummingbirds come here. Like, the hummingbirds ate more green peppers than I did when I first built that garden, which was a learning experience, but I love hummingbirds. So it was like, whatever, dude, have a green pepper. But, but talk to birds, put your hand on a tree. And I want to tell you something else. Like, I do believe that trees are conscious, right? So I did a little bit of studying on the trees and how they work. Like, trees are connected by a root system. And so when one tall, big tree that's lived a longer life, right, is getting all that sunlight and maybe shading the other trees are feeding off of the root system of that bigger tree, right? And so that tree has more roots and suckling all the water. It'll suckle the young trees and help them develop. That's what Christ consciousness is, guys. For those of us that are coming into awareness, coming into who we actually are and embracing the truth, we recognize us and everyone. That's the suckling. That's the root system. That's the Christ consciousness, the unity Christ consciousness, where we recognize as like, dude, I don't have to do this all alone. I don't have to be all alone. And I can't stress that enough. It's like, I stayed in solitude for the first 2 years of my spiritual awakening, my accelerated spiritual awakening, because I've actually been going through an awakening for most of my life. I was never a religious person. I was always questioning the church and that reality and everything, but I always knew that there was definitely a higher authority. There was definitely a higher power, and I just now started to really embrace what that means. And I went within. Like, it just started working on myself, healing the things that kept me in that state of suffering. And I realized, it was like, instead, like, I was blaming my parents, I was blaming my siblings, I was blaming my ex-partners for the circumstances in my life. And then I really went back. I astral traveled, so to speak. I went on that timeline, right? Time being an illusion. And I said, what hurt me? Why am I hurt from this? Why am I blaming this person? And then I started to see my responsibility and how I demonstrated I got exactly what I deserved by way of accepting that whatever, that lack of love that I thought that was enough. And I stayed stuck for a long time. And now I'm realizing it's like, I did that. Nobody else did that to me, right? I did that. And now that I know that, I've healed that, see? And those things can never happen to me again because I'm healed from that. I recognize my behavior and why I was dating the same woman time and time again, only to have my heart broken. That will never happen to me again because now I recognize my own personal sinful pattern of behavior that created that. It had nothing to do with that other person, so to speak. I brought my suffering upon myself. I chose my state of victim mentality. And a lot of people, like, I had another gal come on my live a couple weeks ago now, and she didn't like us talking about victim mentality, but she was yelling at me and blaming me for things and such. And I kept my cool for the most part, but I was starting to demonstrate a little bit of wrath because people could see it on my face as, all right, he's being triggered. He's really being tested here. How's he going to handle this, right? And she just did not like the word victim. She thought that I was inferring that I'm calling her a name, and I'm not. I'm saying that this is a state of being. And in order to overcome this, you have to recognize all of the things that you say you are or aren't. That's creating your state of mind. And it's just a place that we can escape by recognizing how our actions keep us there or free us from there. So can you talk a little bit about your new source of food, clothing, and shelter? So that's a good question. So this is complicated. Again, going back to what I said about learning how to grow food, that's one thing, but I'll tell you about the trip that I'm about to embark on because it is a little bit nerve-wracking, but I'm not giving any, I'm not going to worry, I'm not going to fear, but I'm actually going to walk along Route 66 with nothing. So I'm going to actually hunt, gather, fish, all that stuff as I'm going out on this adventure to try to feed myself. And I'll tell you something else about that, what I've come to learn. I've really been learning how to fast and testing the limits of my body and how long I can go without food to train for this. And everything in our life, guys, has been a lie. You don't have to eat every day. You just don't. And as long as you're drinking, I drink salt in my water. So one thing that I'm bringing with me is I can't get my hands on any Celtic salt. If anybody knows how I can get my hands on some Celtic salt, please let me know. I even tried online. I'm having a hard time getting Celtic salt. But anyways, I have Himalayan salt right now. So I'll put salt in my water, and I do have I'm collecting certain survival supplies, right? I'm gonna have a machete, a hatchet, a tent, and those kind of things. And then I have a huge jug that I'm gonna have water, and then whenever I actually see water, I'll boil it, I'll distill it myself and keep it along. But I'm just gonna be completely free. So to really answer your question, I don't know yet because I'm not actually on that journey yet, but as far as the planning goes, I'm just going to live off the land, off the road, off the earth, because I know that the earth provides. And that's another thing. You bring up a good point that I wanted to talk about because, for those of you that are familiar with scripture, in Matthew, there's a whole book about do not worry. And Jesus, by way of parable, is explaining basically the difference between needs and wants. Everything that we actually need as a human being is provided by earth. There's not a single thing that God doesn't provide for us. The issue that we all have is we're freeing ourselves from this indoctrination as we still lust after the things that we want, right? So I still want, to stay warm. So I want to buy nice clothes and everything like that. But I could make these clothes from, the earth. So it's one of those things, again, when we're distinguishing the difference between wants and needs, it's recognizing that in order for us to get what we need, there might actually be spiritual work that we have to do or physical labor. These are the fruits of our labor, right? That actually serve our higher self. When we are doing the labor, that labor bears fruit. That's the righteous fruit, right? Whereas if we are looking to external sources and thinking that we need these things when they're actually wants and we can't distinguish the difference between wants and needs, that's where we get into that state of suffering, because the things that we're lusting after and then can't have, that's the sin. That's the detrimental, because the thoughts change, and that's that lower vibrational energy. Is like, well, damn it, why can't I have this? Why can't I do, why can't I feed myself today? So I have another great friend. I don't know if she's on here right now, but she went 40 days without eating, guys. 40 days. The longest I've ever gone still is only 4 days. I'm going to push myself into a 7-day fast as I really begin to train on this, and then I'm going to keep pushing myself. But in order to to do that, I'm drinking a lot of salt in my water. So Himalayan salt, Celtic salt if you can find it. No more materialism, Paradise. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Toss, what's up, brother? Toss. Been meaning to talk to you about the chakras, brother. I know that you had sent me a private message saying that we were gonna do a show together or something, so let me know. DM me. Oh, these are great questions, guys. Let me see if I can scroll up and find some. No more materialism, completely agree. Melissa, thank you so much for being here. But why did that trigger you? That's a good question. Okay, that's a really good question. Because I'm an imperfect being still, right? And I'm still struggling with this. And this is a great question that I want to talk about, because I do believe that there's a lot of people that believe that once they achieve Christ consciousness, they have it every day, all the time. I don't believe that. I believe you actually have to work. When we do fall back into that victim mentality, when we let one day impact us differently than yesterday, then we can not be in that Christ consciousness state, and therefore we will have struggle, right? We will, like, I was triggered because I didn't understand why that particular person, like, I went out of my way. My whole day was ruined because this person had told me that they were going to harm themselves. They didn't respond. So I reached out to my community. Let's lift this person up in light and love. And then when I finally did get her on my live, because I hadn't talked to her all day, and I'm sharing like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're all right and everything, she's attacking me. And I was like, what the? I don't understand why I'm being attacked. Like, I literally, my whole day was, all of my energy was drained on worrying about you. And so I was triggered. I was triggered because I didn't understand why my compassion wasn't being seen, why my love wasn't being seen, and why I was being attacked for something that I thought was righteous, right? So in that moment, I recognized, like, this is, again, I'll mention Harley. He brought up the idea. It was like, even though I'm not calling her Satan, this was the Antichrist spirit, the spirit of the Antichrist, the spirit of Satan challenging me. Are you really healing this? Are you really in this higher place? Can you handle this right now? Because you're live, people are watching. How are you going to demonstrate love in action? And for the most part, I handled it pretty good, but I did recognize that I was starting to get wrathful because she wouldn't let me speak. So I started to raise my voice, and that was when I finally was like, this isn't productive. We can't do this. Let's have a conversation in private. And all the people in America are living in the system. We need to start the new Tartaria. That's exactly right, brother. If you guys aren't familiar with Tartaria yet, please go seek that whole entire amazing idea out. Just the fact that, I think, I'm going to be honest with you, Greg, I think that Nikola Tesla was trying to build Tartaria. And that's the reason why, you know, Thomas Edison and the capitalists silenced him and Nikola Tesla died broke, because he was prepared to reveal all of this technology, all of this, and he was going to give it away for free, letting us all know that the earth provides. And he died poor. And now somebody owns Tesla, and they're creating all these really expensive things that come from his creation. It's really a sad story. But Tartaria is real, and Tartaria is basically just a self-sufficient society that harnessed the energy of the sun, and it's just one of the, just everybody go check out Tartaria, because it is fascinating and it's real. And that's what I want. Like, that's what when I say stuff like I'm building a utopia, that's what I mean. Like, Tartaria, we need to reestablish Tartaria. We are continually being tested in the most inadvertent ways. That's exactly right, Toss. Everything that comes at us in one direction and flees from us in seven. That's what I mean by the 7 chakras. When we have everything as source energy, and how we spend that energy is up to us. That's the power of free will by way of discernment. We can choose a path of righteousness, or we can choose a path of wickedness. But whatever we give our power to, that's the way we'll spend that energy, and that's the way the energy will be spent on us. Beautiful, brother. I know it's not, but making it work in America feels impossible. I want to leave USA, go to Greenland. Take me with you, brother. And I don't want anybody here to think that I'm not a patriot, right? I'll tell you another thing. Everybody should go read Thomas Paine, Common Sense, because the state of our world today is the state of the world for Thomas Paine then. A lot of people don't know this, but our independence actually didn't last very long. We had the Revolutionary War, which Thomas Paine had to help us overcome the Quakers that were trying to keep us in a lower vibrational energy state by way of the church, because ultimately the kingdom of men, so the king of England, the throne of England, is run by way of the church, the Vatican, so to speak. That's a conversation for another time. But Thomas Paine common sense helps us all understand that the only reason why we ever allow a governance over us is for protection of our possessions, so to speak. So when we, like, that's what everybody validates. The reason why you pay taxes is because you want to have the military that we do have that keeps you safe. That's all been a manufactured lie, guys. And we don't, we created terrorism, guys. The government created terrorism to justify why they wanted to go into the Middle East and steal their resources. And I'm not just talking about oil. I'm talking about the Ark of the Covenant. I'm talking about the tabernacle. I'm talking about all of it, because there's never been a separation of church and state. Everybody go read Thomas Paine, Common Sense. All man's construct trying to control our vibrations. That's exactly right, brother. Give it a few more years and off-grid will be the norm. Adrian, you're right. Saw another amazing video today talking about why are millennials and Gen Zs and all these newer, younger generations becoming completely free from the government. And it's a simple truth is that everybody, no matter who you are, at some point you get sick of being lied to. And when you recognize the lies, why would you continue to partake in a system that's continuously lying to you? That's in any relationship that we have in any sort of way. So these folks that are realizing that I can actually get what I need, as I was explaining earlier, by becoming completely self-sufficient, they're just breaking free from what has been a manufactured truth for all this time. And the reason why it's so hard for boomers and older generations to see is because they've already spent their entire life in this system, and thus they have all this material things and all these possessions and everything that it's really hard for them to give up. Truly, I tell you, it will be easier for the camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to pass to the kingdom of heaven. But these millennials, these younger generations, they're going to help us bring the kingdom of, or make it at least aware, because the kingdom of heaven's always been here, guys. It's always been a state of mind. You either see it or you don't. And that's what I'm waking up to. And I see that it's getting really dark here. Let me see if I can get some light. There he is. Well, this is fun. You guys are asking great questions. I really appreciate everybody being here. TikTok is such a fun thing. I tell you what, some days I get on and I don't know what to say. And I was told once, is like, just keep posting. Even if it comes off as being like that lower vibrational energy, just keep posting, because that helps the algorithm and everything. And you know what? For the longest time, I believed that. I was like, I gotta be a content creator in order for me to eat out in the wilderness, right? And all this stuff or whatever. But I'm not worried about that anymore. Like, I'm here now because y'all are here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here because I want to demonstrate love in action. I'm done trying to wake people up. Y'all, we made a choice. We made the choice already. So for your brothers and sisters, and this is gonna be a hard thing for you guys to understand, and I get it, because I still have family members that aren't accepting this awareness, that aren't accepting this or embracing this spiritual awakening. But the fact of the matter is, we cannot waste any more energy trying to wake people up. The only thing that each of us can truly do right now is to really, truly learn how to heal so that you can love yourself, because you have to be able to really, truly, unconditionally love yourself to ever be capable of loving your neighbor. And that's the only thing that matters. The two greatest commandments, the only thing that matters in this world is that you understand that God is within, because that's what it means. It's all cyclical. To love God wholeheartedly is to love yourself so that you can love your neighbor. The second commandment, right? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. See how it's cyclical? Comes right back around, and then you just keep doing it. And there can be no sin. As long as you're doing that righteously, there's no crime, there's no sin. You want to know why there's crime in the world? It's because of oppression. Capitalists don't want to talk about that. They need crime. And I'll tell you something else too. All the different pharmaceuticals, pharmakeia, right? The Greek word for witchcraft. That's magic, right? So long as they are your pimp, so long as they're the ones you're going to, then it's legalized. But there's a black market that they also control too. So where you're taking morphine in the hospital, you're taking heroin on the streets. All the same thing. I probably just got dinged for that. The Earth is a giant torus field. That's exactly right. And Greenland is near the Abora, so I wanna go there dude, Greg, I'm coming with you, man. But I also read it's illegal to live in Greenland as a non-citizen for more than like 2 years. I hadn't heard that. That's interesting. I'll tell you where I want to go. And I'm not taking sides on flat Earth versus the torus. I actually believe what Greg believes is that the Earth is actually more like a torus field. So it's not necessarily a globe or flat. It's like the circumference of, so when you come to like look, when you look at my body right here, right there, I have a torus field. This is actually, I think Leonardo da Vinci actually drew a great depiction of this. But your heart chakra is your core, right? And that heart chakra creates a torus field of the kingdom of heaven and creates a torus field of the kingdom of hell. And it's all a state of mind. When you have an open heart chakra, you're ascending into the kingdom of heaven. But when you don't, when you're dealing with that judgmental love and that not being able to overcome envy, then you kind of go back into that victim state of mentality where you're dealing with sloth, lust, and gluttony in your root, sacral, and solar plexus chakra, which is why you stay in that lower vibrational energy state. But to piggyback off what Greg was talking about, what I want to do is I want to go to the tropical resort in the middle of Antarctica. That's right, I said it. The tropical resorts in the middle of Antarctica. And I wonder too if that's where Epstein Island is, because if Epstein is there, I'll take him out myself. Paradise is coming. Let's go. Let's go. I love you guys. This is fun. This is fun. Where is Toss? Are you still up here? Do you want to come chat, brother? I don't know if anybody else wants to come up and chat. I just wanted to share some love and light. I had just such a great day today, and I didn't get everything that I set out to accomplish today done. My videos are taking so long to upload, and I sit there and I got to get better at this. But I sit there watching them upload instead of moving on and doing something else. And now I've got other things. Like I was gonna start. I'm writing a book with my buddy Harley. And if you aren't following him already, it's Harley Smith. Humble Beginnings is the hashtag, and he's doing all these videos kind of about his spiritual awakening and understanding, recognizing like we had all succumbed to authority, and now we're beginning to recognize that, you know, the Christ consciousness, or that awareness of who we actually are, that higher state, that, you know, Jesus Christ, or Jesus becoming the Christ, right? And so when we accept that truth, so we're going to kind of write a book together, and so I'm looking forward to doing that. I was going to start the first chapter today, but I got wrapped up with doing all these other videos, and I was singing in the shower. In case you didn't see that video, that was fun. I've just been doing crazy. Do I have shelter? My mom lives in Arizona right now, so as I prepare to do my journey in Route 66, I'm staying here. But my shelter when I'm out walking about in the wilderness, I've got a tent, so I'm just going to stay in a tent while I do this. But I actually used to have a lot of nice things. I used to be successful in the United States of America Incorporated. I actually used to run retail chains. I was an executive of logistics for Target for many years. I ran a project called the Right Sizing Project there. So I would actually build like out west here, they had a competition clause with Vons while Vons was still around. And so they couldn't build grocery stores. But when Vons started to fail, they lifted that clause, and Target started building super Targets and stuff like that out west. And I was the guy in Las Vegas that was kind of running that and doing that. So that's kind of what I did for a while. And then I became a store manager for like Big Lots in Texas. I was in Texas running a Big Lots store. And then eventually I got into, I was running a big truck stop in Iowa called Come and Go. So I used to have nice things. I used to, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not participating in a beast system where my tax dollars support genocide. Nope. Oh, these are great questions though. I want out as well. Paradise, come with me. Let's all link up. Come find me on Route 66. I got a fishing pole. I've got just enough tools to hunt and gather if necessary. Now, I do want to specify something. Like I'm not saying that I'm vegan, but I am slowly working on not eating meat. I don't want to become dependent on meat, and actually I'm doing a parasite purge. So whenever I do fasts, I do full food fast, and I'm striving for the 7-day full food fast, and then I do intermittent fasting. And a part of my intermittent fasting, one of the things that I'm trying to just not eat at all is meat, with the exception of fish and seafood. That's a conversation for another time. But red meat, I haven't eaten any red meat now in a little while. And I'm gonna hopefully not eat red meat. It's crazy. Like I'm the king of the barbecue, man. I used to be the mad griller, right? And now I'm saying I'm not gonna eat red meat. But I became aware of what this actually is doing to my body, and I'm all about building this temple back up so that I can always be my higher self. So I do still eat chicken on occasion, not a lot. And that's it. So right now it's just basically chicken and fish. But as I'm walking on Route 66, I don't anticipate seeing too many chickens. And the fish that I'm going to come across is going to be by way of lakes. So I'll actually make it my intention to kind of hit lakes as I'm going. So like I'm starting off in Williams, Arizona, which is going to be a little bit scary because that's bear country out here. And actually I was going to start this journey a couple of years ago. And I'll tell you, I got into a state of fear because there was a bear attack out here actually happened in Prescott, Iowa, Prescott, Arizona, which I have to go through Prescott to get to Williams, and a bear attack, and the man died, and I was like, oh my God, I'm okay. So I got myself a slingshot. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I'm come to Canada this summer, and we can go back country across the country completely off grid. I'm down for that. You know, it's funny when I really started waking up to what the United States of America actually is, I did tell my family that I was going to be Canadian. And Taz, I'm not trying to pick on Canada and everything. I was wholeheartedly all about that. And then I saw what's going on in Canada. Like, for example, the maid service. Are you guys familiar with the maid service? I know Taz will be, but it's the medically, what is it called? But it's basically euthanasia. It's medically assisted death, right? Medically assisted in death. And here's what blew my mind. Mental health is a disease, is an illness that is eligible for euthanasia. And furthermore, I think it was Taj, you can correct me. I think it's a 16-year-old child doesn't need a parent's consent. In other words, children who are struggling with depression can elect maid service to end their life. I got a problem with that, Taz. I got a big problem with that. We don't even know who we are. I didn't even know who I was until I was 40. Dude, 17 years old was one of the darkest moments in my life. If I lived in Canada and knew about that, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm being completely truthful and honest, I may have chose that. That's not okay. That is not okay. Taz, is it 16 or is it 18? But I didn't think that, because 18 is what we know as to be the legal adult, right? That can, like, obviously you can go serve the military. You used to be able to buy cigarettes, and at one point in this country, I think you could even buy alcohol, and that wasn't ever in my lifetime. But they keep raising that age up, yet you could still go die for your country. But anyways, as far as I knew, because it really bothered me about it, is like, I think most of us feel like we're adults by the time we're 18. Like, at least we think that we are then. But as adults now, we're looking back as like, dude, I was just a kid. I was just a kid at 18. I had no idea what life actually was going to be like, right? And that's another thing that I really quickly want to talk about, is like, our inner child is our higher self, right? So that's why it's so important that we heal our childhood traumas, because you remember that 4-year-old rocking a Batman t-shirt? Remember the strength and power of that kid? That dude could do anything. That's who you are. That's your real self. And the whole construct of our society, we go get an education or go get an indoctrination how to serve the corporate world. And then we get out into our reality and have to pay bills, and we're chasing after money just to stay alive. We lose sight of who we actually are. But so long as you do recognize that your inner child is your higher self, and you embrace the shit out of that inner child, and you love that inner child unconditionally, and become the higher self, and become completely free of that indoctrination, you are Batman. You are Batman. So Mud pies. Yes. Let's go play. That's another thing too. Like I already kind of talked about that, but guys, I cannot stress this enough. Go outside, even in the wintertime, even when it's too cold. Bundle up, go outside, get a little sunlight. Breathe in the fresh air. And it's challenging, I know, if there's snow on the ground and such, but find a way to let your bare feet touch the earth so you can get those electrodes, get those electrons flowing, and get that boost of energy. I'm telling you, guys, it's worth it. And I know that there's a big trend going around on TikTok and on the social media apps in general, but like cold plunges is real. If you can't get outside and do a cold plunge, take a cold shower. But that helps with inflammation. It really... It's the same thing as like if you think about fasting. Why do we fast, right? In scripture, Jesus tells them that they don't need to fast because the bridegroom is present. Think about it like this in metaphorical sense, okay? Not a literal sense. We're not sitting at supper with Jesus and he's right there, okay? Everything, by the way, is actually metaphorical, and that's a conversation for another time. But here's the point. When you aren't one with the Holy Spirit, when you aren't feeling righteous, that's the time to fast. That's the time to cold plunge. That's the time to shock your system because, boom, you're going to have thoughts like, oh my God, get out of here, it's cold. Or I need to eat, I'm starving. That's when you're starting to talk to the ego, deconstruct the ego, and talk to God. And then all of a sudden, the bridegroom is present. And now you've overcome all that temptation. You've overcome all that desire to serve the flesh. And now you're one with the bridegroom again, the Christ that is within you. So the reason why we fast is to condition ourselves back to taking the power and control. The power of who you are is in your solar plexus chakra. That's your power and identity, right? And the heart chakra is your unconditional love, your spiritual transcendence. When you're beginning to recognize your victim mentality and you're coming to a place of forgiveness, acceptance. I hate using those words because that has negative connotation. More so than anything, this is where your self-love starts to happen so that you're capable of loving your neighbors, right? And then the throat chakra is all about how you're manifesting and affirming everything into your life. That's how powerful you are. Whatever words you say, especially after I am, so shall it be. I am this, you'll be that. So for a lot of people, like I was in alcohol recovery, guys. I went to treatment and they teach you right away to give up power and control. I didn't have power and control over alcohol power over me. I couldn't do the first step, so it didn't go very well for me because I never gave up my power and control, nor will I ever, because I recognize doing that is still allowing labels and other things to govern me. So for those that always go to AA and they lead with, hi, I'm this, I am an alcoholic, brother, you're gonna always be that so long as you say that. You're not, you're healed. My father actually died when he was 59 years old. He fell down the stairs, had a .239 BAC. And I told him, for the last few years of his life, I said, Dad, you are not an alcoholic. You have got to start dealing with your demons and heal the things that are the reason why you pick up the drink. And he's starting to come around and understand that. And he was 2 weeks sober until that very day. And then he got obliterated drunk because a familiar pattern came up. He went to a job interview. He didn't think it went well, and he punished himself because that's ultimately what we all are when we're suffering from alcoholism. We're self-medicators because we don't want to deal with the thoughts that are telling us that we're not good enough or that we don't deserve this or that or whatever. It's a lack, okay? So I'm free from all labels, and I recognize the power in my throat chakra by saying certain things. I'm going to be those things. And then it's about, like I said, because now we're getting into the third eye chakra, which is the part of the mark of the beast, right? The mark on the forehead is your thoughts. So when you're having righteous thoughts, you're buying them and you're believing them and you're giving those thoughts power. Whereas if you have a wicked thought, you're selling them. Get that out of here, ego. I don't need that. That's not me. And then again, the connection through the throat chakra. If you believe you're an alcoholic, then you will remain an alcoholic for the rest of your life, for as long as you're saying that. But if you say, I am healed, I have temperance, I've overcome gluttony, I am powerful, I am the power, right? That we're told not to say that we lost our power over whatever. So another thing in the society that we have to free ourselves from is label traps. I was also told that I was a codependent person then. And I was under the impression that it was, but this is why my understanding was codependency is that it's not okay for me to really want to help somebody. They're like, well, no, it's not necessarily the thing. Like, think about it like this. If you're giving them all your energy, if you're literally like investing all of your energy into helping them. So put it in this sense, if you're giving them all the chips in your basket and then they just walk away with all the chips in your basket, what do you have left? So I get that to a certain extent, but I recognize the qualities that came out of being a codependent person. I want to help. I want to be a hero. There's nothing that gives me more joy than seeing somebody else smile because of the conversation that they're having with me. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. Come on. Man, I'm getting fired up, y'all. Woo! Woo! Oh man, it got dark. In the darkness, there will be light. That's part of it, right? A lot of people, we think to feel, going back to the inner child thing, right? When I told you guys there's no fear. Well, what I mean by that, an inner child, the child, your child, when you were a child, you didn't fear the Matrix. You didn't fear the real world. Things that scared you were the boogeyman underneath the bed, or the monster in the closet, or early bedtimes. These things that we think, we look back now and it's just like, that's cute or whatever. But the fear of darkness, when did that get instilled into us? Is that just something that's natural, or is there more to this story? Because you shouldn't fear the darkness. We need the darkness. We need our struggle to reveal light. And it's okay to sit in the dark for a while until you have that revelation to help free you from the darkness. Sit there, deal with it, sulk in it, feel it. Because in order for us to heal our trauma, we have to first feel our feelings. And that's where a lot of us get stuck, is that, for me, I was a self-medicator, right? And I chose alcohol. That was my medicine to overcome those feelings I didn't want to deal with. And now that I recognize that I can sit there and it's okay for me to deal with depression, at least for a little while, until I figure out why it's there, then heal it and move on. That struggle is necessary for me to learn a life lesson, and then the lesson becomes knowledge. Knowledge becomes wisdom, and when we have wisdom is the only time we can ever have the absolution of truth and unconditional love. Make sense? Oh my goodness. You guys are great. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm going to try to start going live more frequently with Harley. I'm doing a series with him that we're kind of calling Fellowship. As I told you guys before, I am going to write a book for him. I don't know if he's still on here, but he wants us to share it 50-50, but I'm just going to give it to him entirely. That's for him. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier, is like, I don't use money, and I'll never use money again, ever. Love is my currency. So I want to do this for Harley, and I'm excited to work with him on that. So I think did we set a date, Harley? I don't remember. I think it was Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. Central. And we're just calling it like Fellowship. Last week we talked a lot about the different parables in Matthew and kind of give an interpretation of how those parables speak to us. Because I want to make something very clear to everybody. I still read scripture, okay? I don't worship Jesus Christ. I am trying to do what Jesus Christ taught me to do. And I also don't call him Jesus, I call him Yeshua, and that's a conversation for another time. But the story in the Bible is meaningful for each of us because it's a story about you. It's a story about us. And it's such a short story in the grand scheme of things, right? It's a 6,000-year-old story, soon to be 7. And how old is the earth? How many different civilizations existed before Yahweh took over as the creator God and got everybody to worship him, anyways. But I still study scripture because, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's great wisdom in helping you understand who you truly are. So there's a lot of people that are deconstructing Christianity that are like saying, I'll never read the Bible again. And I get that, I was there. And then there's a lot of people in spirituality that are like, no way, I'm not going back to the church. I ain't asking you. You are the church. Your vessel is the church, and Christ lives within you. And that's why it's so important. I also refer to our bodies often as spaceships. And when it's on autopilot, the ego's driving. But when you're driving your spaceship, you're capable of anything. You can walk on water. But I am looking to get my hands on Yogananda's Bhagavad Gita. Guys, I mean, I recently had been attacked from a video that I made last week talking about Yod He Vod He not being Yahweh, and understanding that Jesus Christ doesn't come from the fallen manufactured truth, right? Where Yahweh creates this reality. It instills fear into people, is a jealous God, so to speak. And without even going into like talking about who El Elyon is, or Metatron, or Baal, or anything like that, I want everybody to recognize this, because this is something that I'll continue to say. We were taught that the 7 princes of hell, the 7 demon heads, right? So Lucifer, Mammon, Beelzebub, Belphegor, Leviathan, we were told that they are evil entities. But what really happened was they fell from Yahweh. They weren't going to partake in that manufactured truth anymore. And they actually, in a way, even though they're governors of the darkness, they're showing you your darkness until you heal from it. Hey, dude, here's sloth again, Belphegor. Here's sloth. You're struggling today. Here's your sloth. Have some more sloth. But he's not doing that to defile you. He's doing that because you have a choice. You can take that sloth and turn it into diligence, overcome that sin by way of virtue, so you're ready for the 7th seal, and you can light that root chakra lampstand. Okay, so Belphegor has a purpose to you, just like Judas had a meaningful purpose to Jesus. It's hard for some people to hear, but that's the fact. You need these demons to show you your darkness, and they're going to continue to show you your darkness until you have figured out how to overcome that repetitive state of victim mentality. Make sense? All right, y'all. I think I'm going to sign off for the night, but you guys are awesome. I thank you so much for being here. Mandy, wow, mind blown. I don't know what you said, but I need to watch your videos. Right on, Mandy. I look forward to being your friend. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate all your kind words. That words, kindness, right, virtue, is a currency of love. So when I say things like I'm free from money and I'm going to pay for everything in my life and by way of love, that's what we're talking about. What are the 7 virtues? And I want to bring, before I go, I want to mention another book, right? So everybody is familiar with, I think this book came out like 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer, but the 5 love languages, right? What else are there 5 of in this material world? 5 senses, right? Your physical senses, your sight, smell, hearing, touch, all those things. Well, then your 5 love languages, right? You have acts of service. Gosh darn it. Touch is one of them. For the longest time, I believed that love was physical, was that touch, right? So my first relationship when I was a senior year in high school, it's when I started having intimacy. And I believed that that was how you demonstrated love. I had no idea that there were other ways that you can demonstrate love, right? That's how naive I was at 17, 18 years old. Now I've come to understand, like, one of the greatest virtues is kindness. And for Mandy to say that to me tonight, that's how I just got paid. I just got paid. Ooh. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a wealthy man, and it feels wonderful. And I cannot wait for more and more people to start thinking like I am. I'm not trying to project that onto anybody. All I'm saying is that when you truly are embracing the love in the world, instead of looking at all the hate and the things that divide us, and you're starting to say, I was like, Mandy just gave me some kindness. Mandy and I are friends. Come on. That's all we need in this world. Everything is free. You guys aren't following like Billy Carson, go to his YouTube page. He has an amazing video where he basically talks about everything is free because the earth provides, guys. And he's talking about God provides what you need, and you must distinguish between your needs and your wants. So long as you recognize the things that you need, you already have. And some of us have to remember that in order to get what we need, there might be work to do, and that's okay. We shouldn't fear that work. And this is another reason, I want to get into this because one of the other reasons why the boomers are having such a hard time embracing this spiritual awakening is because if you think about what is it, if we do completely break free from this beast system and people do actually have to start bearing their own fruit, How, because right now we live in a system where money makes money, right? It isn't really about the working class is making money for somebody else, right? Well, in the society that I want to create, that's completely based off of love, my utopia, we all have to do something to receive. In Kabbalah, we learned that in order for you, like the more you give, the more you receive. And that's ultimately because if you think about it, we're all vessels. And the idea is that you want to keep your vessel empty all the time. Because if you don't, if it's full, you can't receive new downloads. You can't receive more love and more light. You're full. And so in order to empty your vessel, you got to give freely. You just got to keep giving. I love you. I love you. I'm loving you. I'm loving you. And whatever that looks like is up to you. But as so long as you continue to keep your vessel empty, the more you can receive. And these are spiritual downloads that evolve us, right? That's the ascension journey. By doing that, we truly, like the downloads that I'm talking about, you guys are all familiar with the Schumann resonance by now, right? You guys are all familiar with the solar flares that are going on in the world and everything. You guys are aware that people are talking about their dream worlds and these amazing dreams that are coming to them, and they're having a hard time interpreting them, but they're trying to, and they're like, what is this telling me? These are downloads. And in order for you to receive the downloads, you have to have an empty vessel ready to receive. So give freely. I love you guys. I'm going to go back inside, but this is fun. Nice little spontaneous live. Thank you all for being here. If you're not already, please give me a follow. Check out some of my videos. Made some fun ones today. I was singing in the shower today. I'm no Chris Martin, but I tell you what, it was fun. I had fun. Life is fun. Get outside. Go play. I love you. I'm Frank Lita Voice. So let's all become heroes. Y'all have a good night.